All right, you've got it tuned in to the Blue and Gold Postgame show here as A&T falls 22-16 to South Carolina State without Swann and Billy Covington. Donal Ware with you, and boy, it's another tough loss. 3 straight weeks where A&T loses a game within a possession. And we already have some comments in the chat. If you'd like to get in the chat and have your comment read, just hit us up again in the chat. As Jay Stowe says, we have yet to be able to put 2 successful halves together. Look, 9-0 lead. And then South Carolina State, the defense for A&T was put in some bad positions in the second half.
No doubt about it. And one of the things that come to mind, Donald, is how ineffective Kevin White was early, especially in that first half. And we're not accustomed to seeing that because he's been a really accurate thrower. But he had several passes that were either underthrown or overthrown. And if those passes would have been caught, it's hard to determine how they would have influenced the game. So that was one of the keys to me that we only had 9 points at halftime when we could have and should have had more. And it came back to bite us in that second half.
You see, Hans says, happy G-Ho to my favorite announcer team. He says, I tip my hat to the team as they put together a whole of a game, or a whale of a game, I should say, for 52 minutes. But that 8 minutes lapse cost us a victory. There were positives today. Yeah, to Hans's point, and what Jay Stowe was saying, first half, 52 minutes, but you got to be able to put together a whole situation.
Yeah, you got to realize that the football game is 4 quarters. It's tough. It's mentally tough. It's mentally draining, but they keep coming across with the effort. It's just not sustainable. So another tough loss for A&T.
Yeah. Daryl says, happy G-Ho. Amos says, without question, KJ is the most talented quarterback on the team, but I'm waiting for him to turn on the kill switch. And he's still battling back from it.
Yeah. He had a really bad break fracture, and really affected his speed because before he got hurt, he had blazing speed. And so he's still, trying to recover, but this is a tough game that I'm sure they expected to win, a game that they wanted to win, notwithstanding that it was homecoming, but just couldn't pull it off today.
ODB says this loss hurt more compared to last week. We did not play our best today. Aggie Pride. And, I would say, ODB, for me, last week's loss hurt me a little more than this week because you had a 13-point lead in the third quarter, dominated the first quarter. Just could not put it away. Daryl says we have so much work to do. KJ has to get his decision making under control. And the thing about it, he missed a lot of passes today in the first half, especially now.
That was my point. But the fact that he missed so many open receivers, and if he were able to connect with those guys, we don't know what effect it would have had on the outcome of the game. We could have had more than 9 points at halftime, and I don't think there's something that will continue to see from him because for the most part he's been a very accurate passer those last 3 games. But for whatever reason, he just was never in rhythm today, and it really showed in some of the incompletions that he had the first half.
Daryl said, what's up with the O-line? Yeah, I mean, you're talking about that South Carolina State defensive line was really, really good today.
Let me tell you, that number 11 for South Carolina State, Luntz, I want to say he is the best football player I've seen this year. And Donal and I have seen a lot of football up and down the coast, and this guy is unbelievable. His size, he's 6'3", 245 pounds. His quickness, his first step is unbelievable. And the fact that not only with his quickness, he knows how to use his hands to get the advantage on the defender. We just were not able to single block him today. We needed some help. He's just a tough football player.
Let's see. Han says too many inopportune turnovers and too many failures in the red zone and too many penalties. props to Money Brown and wide receiver Thomas Brown, who will get there. Yeah, Money Brown with the 55-yard field goal, a school record, by the way. And then Thomas Brown, great individual effort, pointed at the 15, was able to break a couple of tackles and get into the end zone for the touchdown. So a couple of positives you can take away from the game. But only 241 yards of total offense for A&T today.
And that's going to hurt you. Like you said, 241 yards total offense. And looking at our stats here, we only were able to rush the ball 47 yards rushing. That's over. That's not going to get it. That's not going to get it. I don't care who you play. You got to do a better job of it. Give South Carolina State's defensive line credit. They were tough. They were tough all day.
See, Jay Stowe says SC State has a great defensive line. Not being able to establish the run may have hurt KJ's ability to get set back there. It's a good point. I mean, that South Carolina State defensive line reminded me of the old days of A&T and A&T's defensive line.
Exactly. That's a good analogy, Donal. But
yeah.
They did a good job. And again, Luntz, this guy, he was unbelievable today. And so that really plays into your mind if you're a quarterback. If you know this guy's coming, and it had an effect on him. So, tough loss, but what are you going to do? You gotta continue to play.
Yeah. So of course a bye week coming up next week, and then the next game for A&T in 2 weeks is going to be against Campbell. And you'd hope A&T would get off to a good start here against South Carolina State, because you're talking about being at home for 3 straight weeks, 4 weeks when you count the bye week, to kind of establish something. But A&T probably needs this bye week right now to kind of get back and get ready for the rest of conference.
I agree. I think we need probably more mentally than we do physical, because we've had some really tough losses. And one thing about this team, we said it all the time, Don, the margin for error is so small that, you almost got to be perfect if you're going to pull out a win against some of these teams. And we just have not been able to do it.
And so a tough one for A&T, falling 22-16 to South Carolina State on today. Well, I think we're going to get ready to wrap things up, head on out to the see what's going on outside with the tailgate and all that. This is a tough one. 22-16, A&T loses again. There's no game next week. We're coming back against Campbell in 2 weeks. So we're looking forward to that. And we want to get you guys the right time for that game. It's a 1 o'clock. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. So we'll be coming on with the pregame show at 12:30. Al, any last words?
Well, I think this could have a better time for a bye week. And I think it's going to help us probably more mentally and physically. But one thing that we know about this team they don't give up. And so they have some tough losses, but they really hang in there. And maybe we can get some mental adjustments during this bye week and come back and have a very good game against Campbell.
Billy, any last words?
You have the opportunity to win. You just cannot close the deal. So I will be interested to see how the coaches talk and keep it positive. It's tough right there and just can't close the deal. So you're right about one thing. If any team in the conference that needed a week off, it was North Carolina A&T. So maybe we can get it together and come back here in a couple of weeks and take on a very good Campbell team, which right now is leading Hampton 31-21 late in the fourth quarter. So, a successful homecoming, except for the fact that the Aggies were not able to pull this game out. And I really felt in the first half, the 3 field goals by Money Brown was not going to be enough for the game. South Carolina State just continued to tick, nitpick, and they finally called. And as Al indicated on numerous occasions, one big play got it started. And it's hard to win a game when you give up 22 consecutive points. Things is gonna be better. And hopefully we can improve things, with about 5 games remaining in the season.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up. And, of course, want to thank Des back at the studios of the Aggie Sports Radio Network for all of his outstanding work. For Al Swann and Billy Covington, Donal Ware saying so long from Truist Stadium here on the campus of North Carolina A&T State University. Your final score, South Carolina State 22, North Carolina A&T. You've been listening to Aggie Football on the Aggie Sports Radio Network.